Hey, happy Monday, everyone. I hope that you had a wonderful weekend, rested up, got whatever chores you needed done, and that you are feeling good today. So, myself, I spent all Saturday cleaning my house because I hadn't cleaned in 2 weeks, and the little puppy paw prints were all over the floors and like all the stuff. So I spent Saturday cleaning and Sunday recovering and relaxing after church. But I did a little reading this weekend, and I don't like to read the news too much, but I did read the news a bit, and that kind of made me want to talk about what I want to talk about today, and that is mental health. So I read an article yesterday about a young guy, 18 years old, and he committed suicide. And he had been a very good student. He was, could write his own ticket for as far as what college, and I'm talking top tier colleges, right? That he could play football for. Like, this kid had everything going for him. And it was the isolation of COVID and remote schooling and not having football practice and not having connections with his friends and everything that unfortunately drove this young man, this 18-year-old guy, to suicide. And it was so sad. And so I wanted to talk about mental health because I think that it is something that is so important. And I also think that mental health, there's different degrees of mental health. And if you're struggling with something, doesn't mean you're crazy or you need to see a therapist or you need to go to a psychiatrist. And absolutely in some cases, yeah, that is definitely what's needed, especially if you are on the suicidal, having suicidal feelings and stuff like that is definitely very, very important to get professional help from a licensed professional. Absolutely. But I think that there's a lot that we can do to take care of our mental health before we ever get to that point, right? Like, there are some very mental healthy habits that you can have in your life that prevent you from, going down that path to severe depression, severe depression, suicidal thoughts, all that stuff. Like, there's a lot we can do as quote, healthy individuals to take care of and protect our mental health in order to prevent ourselves from getting into a bad place mental health wise. It's kind of like, and what I mean, it's kind of like eating, just like with diet, how you would eat healthy and you'd exercise and you'd stuff like that to take care of your body. Like, there's things that we can do to take care of our mind so that we don't get in a depression or, super anxious or those sorts of things. So obviously anyone, who ends up in that place, there's, definitely, getting help from a licensed professional is a great way to go to get yourself back to a healthy place. But if you're not there, if you're just like, hey, I don't really like being on lockdown. I miss seeing my friends. I miss seeing my family members. Like, how can I keep myself in a good place? That is where coaching can come in. So one of the things that I work with in my coaching practice a lot is thoughts, right? So whether I'm working with teens, whether I'm working with entrepreneurs, whether I'm working with just regular everyday people, it's so important to understand that our thoughts are the main driver of our lives, right? And so when you're coming from a healthy place, there's a lot we can do to change our thoughts in order to change the feelings that they're creating in us, because no feeling shows up in you without a thought coming first, right? It's always a thought that's causing a certain feeling. So if you're feeling really good and you're excited, there are things that you're thinking that is fueling you feeling good and excited and like raring to go and ready to enjoy the day. If you're feeling kind of depressed or bummed out, there are thoughts that are fueling that. So one thing we work out on in coaching a lot is our thoughts and learning how to question, like, if we're not feeling good, say, okay, what am I thinking? Because there's a thought that is causing us not to feel good. And so if we can find that thought and then decide we don't want to believe that thought and change it to something else, we can really, we can keep ourselves, for the most part, feeling a lot better, choosing better thoughts and choosing better thoughts that drive better feelings. And those better feelings will drive us to take better actions, which then create the results of our lives. So it's so, so important to be proactive with regard to your thoughts and what you're choosing to think if you want to take care of your mental health. And if you don't want to end up getting, in a place where you're just feeling like crap all the time. So it's so important. And it's one of the things that I'm going to tell you about is one of the things that I do as a practice every morning. And this is kind of, a coaching technique that we do, but it's just making a thought download. So you just take like any normal, notebook and just like seriously just start writing down everything you're thinking. Even if these thoughts like just jump all over the place, even if they don't make any sense, just write down every single thing that you're thinking. And this is also a really good activity to do if you're feeling like really anxious or stressed or depressed or angry or whatever it is, you're feeling a really negative emotion. It's great to just dump all your thoughts down on paper. Don't worry about if you can read them, like what it looks like. Just dump all the thoughts down on paper. You'll be surprised at just doing that one thing, like getting those things out of your head and so they're not swirling around, how much better you'll feel, right? You just get all that junk out of your head so it's not bouncing around like ping pong balls. Like I do this sometimes, like I'll just be like, I'm feeling really crappy and I don't know why. And I will just get a piece of paper and I'll just write down every single thing that I'm thinking, just as it comes up, just boom, 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 boom. And I won't question it. I won't judge it. I won't say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm thinking that. It's horrible. I'll just write it all down. And then once it's out of my head, it's like it loses power over me. And then I decide to write down what I actually want to think, what I want to focus on for the day. And then boom, it's off to the races. It's so, so powerful. Such a powerful thing. And so, that's just one very, very simple thing that you can do in your life that will just make a huge difference. Whenever you're feeling bad, just write it all down. It's just such a powerful practice, and it's just the most simple thing in the world. So just that one little simple thing can make a huge difference in your mental health in the moment and help keep you from getting sucked into a pit of negativity. Because it's never one thought that causes a problem for us. It's all these thoughts, and then they kind of like they ricochet around in your brain, and then gather momentum and gather other like thoughts with them, and we like obsess on that and we focus on it, and it's just like, oh my gosh. And then before you know it, we're just like, we went from like this really positive place to feeling like hopeless, and we're like, how did that happen, right? How did that happen? So it's so important. It's so important to just get stuff out of your head. Like if you could just get things out of your head, it would just go a long way towards improving your life. So the other thing I wanted to talk about with mental health and with, just getting things out of your head and, is to look out for other people, right? Look out for friends and family members, and don't be afraid to ask them, like, how are you doing? Like, no, really. How are you doing? Like, look for them being off. Look for them like not being themselves. And don't just say, oh, it's just COVID, it'll pass, or it's just this, it'll pass. Like, don't make that decision, right? Like, really check on people that you care about in your life and ask how they're doing. Because a lot of times just that connection with somebody else can really help pull somebody who's kind of starting to go into a downward spiral back up to the surface. So all you have to do is just be aware and just ask. And you know what you can do? This is something that I do, and I just make it a habit to do it with everybody. Like, I ask everyone how they're doing. Like, even if I'm at the grocery store and it's the checkout person, I'm like, oh my gosh, how are you doing? I hope you're having a wonderful day. And, they might say they are, they might say they aren't. And if they say they aren't and they say there's something going on with them, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to send you lots of love. And so, really hope that you start feeling better. I'm going to send you lots of love. Or if they have a family member sick, I'm telling them I'll pray for them. Because we really need that human connection. And one of the things that's so devastating right now with COVID is not the virus or any of that stuff. It's actually, a lot of it is the disconnection that we are experiencing, because whether you know this or not, you can do the research, you can Google it after you watch this video, is that like our hearts actually like extend energy out like 3 feet, right? So we actually have this energy field that radiates around us, and we thrive off our energy field connecting with other people's energy fields. Like, we are actually, humans are like pack animals. We're, that's why prehistoric humans were in tribes and clans and whatever, because we thrive on connection with others, right? And so we have this energy field that spreads out 3 feet all around us the whole way from our heart, right? It's our heart energy, because our heart actually does a lot more than our brains. Our heart actually communicates more to our brain than our brain does to our heart. And so with this energy that's radiating out in front of us, one of the things that's so devastating with these COVID protocols is, this demand to like stay 6 feet or more away from each other. Because by doing that, our energy fields are not connecting with other people's energy fields. And so you think it's just isolation because you're like, oh, well, it's only because I have to do everything on Zoom. But it's actually really it's really our energy field that needs to connect with other people's energy field. And so if you are required by protocols or whatever to stay more than 6 feet away, our energy fields can't mesh. So even if you're going to go visit a loved one and let's say you're sitting 6 feet away from them or 10 feet away from them because of COVID or whatever, like, you're not getting that energy mesh that you need and that person needs, and that is beneficial, mentally, physically, emotionally. And so it's so devastating to be away from, to be distanced like this. It's so devastating. And, I know that they're, Dr. Fauci and the National Institutes of Health and all this aren't talking about this, but it is actually fact. Why some areas of science choose to ignore that we are more than just like basically machines, and without like really seeing the energetic component of who we are, is beyond me. I don't know that. I don't know why. But it's actually very well researched, and there's a lot of literature on that, scientific literature, that you can read. So when you're feeling isolated, when you're feeling off, it's not in your head. You're not making it up. It's not, you shouldn't just be happy that you get to see people on Zoom. Like, it really is detrimental to be isolated like that. Very detrimental. So try to find a way that you can actually be close to other humans. COVID protocols be damned, because your health depends on it. And your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, it all depends on it. It's, quality of life is, it's nothing if we don't have connection to one another. You can see people who have had all the money in the world and they had no loved ones, and they were just so miserable, right? So it's not money that makes us happy. It's not certain circumstances that make us happy, or just getting what we want that makes us happy. It's actually communicating and connecting with other humans and feeding that heart energy that we have that makes us happy. So feed that in yourself. Feed that in others that you care about, and watch for that in your children, in your parents. If you have elderly parents, you have parents that live far away that are by themselves, like, watch for that in your loved ones and make sure they're getting that connection, because it is it's so important to our health that the fact that it is being ignored by those making COVID policies is very distressing to me. And it's causing a lot of suicides and loss of life that is unnecessary. So yeah, kind of a heavy topic for a Monday. It's kind of a heavy topic. But yeah, I mean, I just, it's so important to me to let people know these things, because that's what's going to keep you happy and healthy is knowing these things, knowing about your energy, knowing about how to take care of your mind, because that feeds everything else in your life. Your mind feeds everything else. And that's why it's so important for me to share this information. It's why I do the work that I do, because I love all of you, and I want you to feel that love, and I want you to have the best life that you could ever have, right? I don't want anyone to be able to take that away from you. So, yeah. Interesting message for a Monday, but that's just kind of where I'm at. So, I wish you lots of love, and I will check in with you again tomorrow. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Monday.